I've seen enough real people now to know what actually moves the needle, and most people are overcomplicating it. Over the last 15 years, I've coached well over 500 people, and to be honest, this video isn't really about what works in a sense, it's about what actually keeps normal people progressing, what consistently causes people to stall, and what matters for people less than you think. Now, most people don't fail because they need a better workout plan. They fail because they cannot stay consistent with the boring stuff long enough to see results. And this video is everything I've learned from actual clients, actual human beings over the years. Now, if you're old enough like me, some of you will remember things like T-Nation, the T-Nation website, the forums, the websites, Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. For me, when I was younger, I was researching everything for the answers in that book. Now, you have every man, every person, every man and his dog as an online coach trying to grab attention for you the first 3 seconds so they can peddle their own BS. But my aim is that by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what actually matters, especially if you want to, well, build muscle, lose body fat. Turning up, having no idea if there's been progress being made is not going to be an option for us. Now, fitness content loves complexity. More exercise selection, more hacks, more meal timing, more biohacks, how to optimize something, but what's optimal if it's not practical in the first place? There's no point in getting your spirit level out to check if your sternum angle is 30 or 40 degrees in an incline press if you can't actually contract or keep yourself in that position in the first place, right? You see, when you look at the real people in front of you, the patterns start to emerge, especially when you coach as long as I have, they start to emerge, and I identify things that are much simpler. The important things, they're not sexy, and so people miss them or don't do them long enough. So what I'll do for you is break it down into 3 parts. What actually gets people results, what usually stalls progress, and what I tell someone starting from scratch from the very beginning. So point 1 is what actually gets results. Now, almost every successful client I've coached over the years gets good at the basics. Not perfect, but good enough, long enough, and consistent enough. However, I find that before starting with me, people convince themselves that their own good enough is okay, when really that's where they give themselves the most leeway. And if fat loss is the goal, you need to stay in a calorie deficit for a decent amount of time. Like, most people overestimate, I find they overestimate what they can actually do or what can be done in a certain amount of time. Like, Brett, what can be done in 6 weeks? Well, we can set some good foundations, but I find that most people don't give themselves that long enough period of time, especially without any interruptions. And if there's a few nights out, a few parties, usually you need to come up with some form of compromise, especially with like your coach or even yourself if you haven't got a coach. If you wake up in the morning and pretend that the calories didn't happen from the night before, that's where the frustration lies. Another point is getting enough protein per day. You've heard every single coach say it. Now, actual protein consumption over the years has actually significantly increased within the general public, especially in the last 10 to 15 years. But we're still massively on the lower end of where we want to be. One client, for example, who was starting with me fairly recently recorded their food diary, and there's around about 100 kilo male. They were only averaging about 70 grams of protein per day when they needed to be closer towards that mark, especially like double the amount. In fact, you're probably looking at 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight to help be able to at least retain muscle mass or even grow muscle mass. But it's something that people, I find, are very much in denial about, just like the next one, which is getting stronger on the main movements and being consistent enough for long enough to actually create adaptation rather than just wanting to switch programs. Like, there's a new fancy exercise that we've seen on TikTok. Do what works for you, do what you enjoy, absolutely. Do you need to be making changes every single week? Absolutely not. You need to be creating enough stimulus every week to create change. And you'll do that by following a similar structure each week. Now, you don't need a new program. I'll be honest, I personally find you don't need a new program every single 8 to 12 weeks. Some of the best results that I've got with clients have only seen us make minor tweaks in the program over a very, very long period of time, even like 6 to 9 months. So what does work? Simple training structure, high protein nutrition, calorie control when needed, progressive overload within our workouts, and repeating the process. I told you it can be boring, but that's what works. And this brings me to why people tend to stall and not see results. And more often than not, it's not actually a knowledge problem. They know how to eat well, they know how to meal prep, they know to do their steps and their output. So it's not a knowledge. It's not a knowledge problem there. It's adherence. They know what to do, they know how to do it, they just don't do it. Because people know what they need to do. Like it's almost ingrained in us. Usually there's something in a program that's going to stop us from being consistent, but it's there for a reason. Step output, cardio output, even the exercises that are chosen to some extent, especially if you're working with a good coach. So missing certain numbers will likely cause a lack of change. Or if someone does it too aggressively and they burn themselves out, then it just backfires for so many people. These are the same people that, you know, if you go onto Uber Eats, it's their most frequently used apps because they want something now. It's that instant gratification, which I've talked about so many times. They're willing to go 0 to 100, even though it's not recommended. They get like to week 4 or 5 and their head is in the bin. And me personally, I've spoken about this so many times too. I don't see that many changes until week 6 or week 6, 7, 8 of coaching. I call that the golden weeks of coaching. So put yourself in my position now, and if I've got someone grinding themselves into the ground, working so hard for 4 to 5 weeks, doing more than I've asked, and they're absolutely done in, not seeing huge changes because we don't see them changes yet, and then they pack it in. And I've seen that so many times before as well. And there's not much, I'll be honest, there's not much I haven't seen in 15 years in the game. Because most people, as I said, they don't need more information. They need that plan that they can do on repeat, even on the bad weeks, on the busy weeks, when motivation is super low. You know, 5 days of weights, 5 days cardio, three conditioning sessions. Like, it's just mind blowing, but I see it so often. Is it even doable? Like, no wonder your body can't deal with the pressure and the change and the stress that you're putting under it. These are the results usually come to the people who know how to relax and know how to switch off. And now I'm going to be honest. I followed a brand's Perfect Hyrox program or hybrid program. It had 4 weight sessions, had 4 cardio, 3 conditioning, and it just didn't get done because how am I going to fit that into my workout? How am I going to fit that into my week? I'm a busy dad. I'm very busy, got kids. I've got my own business that I'm trying to run. So on that note, the clients that I've seen get the best results, they don't push calories too low. In fact, someone came up to me in the gym who I know goes out every single week or every single fortnight. And they said, Brett, I'm going on 1,400 calories. What do you think? Now, I'm not an advocate. I'm not an advocate of going that low, if I'm honest. My first question was, will you be including your drinks within that and the meals that you're having out on the weekend? And I think they were a little bit struck for words on that one, but weekends count, and going super hard and low on calories will just burn you out. As I said, it'll leave you frustrated. Instead you want to fuel to perform and train hard. So you'll be able to push harder in your training, see better strength gains and better results and more muscle mass. And that's going to get that look and that change that you really want to see. See, amongst some of my clients, I've called all this like influencer training, mistaking effort for progress and wanting to be seen doing everything just like all the guys and girls that you'll see on TikTok, all the guys and girls that you'll see on Instagram who don't have kids, who don't have a real job. Yeah, I'm just saying it how it is. And in reality, they're just trying to sell you their new electrolyte brand deal. So when we break it down, what really fails people, it's overcomplicating training, it's changing plans too often, going too hard too soon, going aggressive with the calories and with the training, trying to be perfect, and mistaking effort for progress. Now, moving on to the final point, if I was giving someone advice for if they were starting today, it would be get good at being consistent, even on your bad days or your busy days. Learn to take a rest. If your recovery is poor, your training and your nutrition just will not be working as well as you want them to. A lot of people think they need more sessions. Often they need more intent within the sessions that they are doing. You see, if we look back at everything that's been said, everything that I've said, the best clients I've coached are not the most motivated. It just doesn't happen, and it very, very rarely happens. They know what they're doing, they know why they're doing it, they know when they're doing it. They get it done. They know their why, they understand that. They train in a place they enjoy with a program that's engaging, a coach that gives a fuck about them, which that's me. And they're eyeballing that future person that they want to become. They're like chasing after that identity that they want to hunt down. It's habits, it's environment, and it is that identity. There's a lot of the basics to it. So if you take anything from this video, take this. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need a perfect plan. You need one that's repeatable, one that's in the real world, if I'm honest. And that's what I've seen with coaching over and over again. It's something that needs to be sustainable. I'm not saying everyone is doing everything wrong. I'm not saying that. I think that people are chasing complicated solutions when the real answer is consistency, simplicity, and doing the basics properly. And if you want to see more of that on your timeline, you can follow me at Brett Mack Coaching on Instagram and TikTok, the two platforms that I've been telling you about. Or you can subscribe to my email list to get the real secret sauce on how to get results, and that is going to be below.